Murphy said beforehand, we get on the internet, we can see a whole lot of information, and then you get to the field office, you may feel like, hey, they're not trying to serve it to me, but in reality, there were some additional details within that. It may not have been abundantly clear, but I wanna make sure that you at least walk away with a good understanding of the value of understanding what your resource concerns are, as well as establishing that benchmark. And again, our goal is to take you from good to better and then from better to best. Oftentimes, we utilize the EQUIP program to get you from your base level to doing good. All right, those are going to be generally individual practices. So, as I alluded to, you want to extend your growing season on your cropping operation, your special crop operation. A single individual practice would be, I want to implement a hot zone. Let's just say you have livestock and you want to establish a rotational grazing system. An individual practice would be fencing, would be a watering trough, things along those lines. Those are individual practices and will fit very well in our EQUIP system. All right, there'll be a good application for EQUIP. But if you want to go from good to better and from better to best, then you have the conservation stewardship program where you can do a suite of those practices, a medley of enhancements that can enhance your operation in general. So that's just a brief synopsis of being able to go through some of those programs that are available. So how do you get to those programs? You can contact your local field office. You can contact your local district conservationist, soil conservationist, come out, we'll do a field visit, we'll take your application. Once we have an application, we'll go through a ranking process. We have a batching date in which we take all applications, because applications come in year round. But we have a batching date where we compare all of these applications that came in during this time period, and we'll begin to rank them amongst one another. And from that point, we'll fund until our funding runs out. In Tennessee, we get close to $100 million in conservation funding this year. $100 million conservation funding this year. And that's through our EQUIP program, as well as our conservation stewardship program and some of our disaster programs. So we have a lot of funds that are available to our producers, and we want to make sure that you have access to them. You gain that access through working with your local field offices and creating those conservation plans, and hopefully those conservation plans transition into applications, and applications transition into contracts. All right. So I know there was a lot, and I went through a lot pretty quick, but I do want to open up the floor for just some general conversation and any questions that you may have, so that way I can maybe get to specific scenarios and give a little more insight. So, are there any questions?
Mr. Hunt, when is the batching date?
So the batching date is generally going to be sometime mid-November. The dates have not come out officially yet. I tell people all the time, check back with me after October 1. That's the start of our fiscal year. And at that point in time, we'll have really clear goals as far as what those batching dates will be.
Y'all have to send money back.
So,
I know you say you funded $100 million worth of projects.
yeah.
Do you always have enough projects to?
So in Tennessee, we always want our unfair share. All right, so that means we're going after it. So we usually borrow money from other states and trying to get money from other places because we want to make sure that we provide assistance to all of our applications. Now, I will say this year we had somewhere around 7,000 applications for the year. And somewhere near 1,000 of those were funded, a little bit less than 1,000. So we're starting to stay to where we have a backlog of applications because there's a lot more people that are looking for assistance at sometimes than what we have dollars available. But that's when we go back and ask for additional assistance dollars to fund those applications.
We have a lot of erosion or is there help or assistance for you with that?
Yeah.
We're out of our depth there.
Yeah, so soil erosion, I mean, that is one of our primary resource concerns we need to address. All right. So, what county are you located in?
Shelby.
Shelby County. Okay. So, soil erosion is definitely something that we contribute. It depends on the location, which essentially how we'll handle that. Whether it be through a structural practice or it could be a management practice. If you would say, if you would be willing to put in some cover crops that may aid in that process. And so, there's a variety of ways, and I'll let your district conservationists kind of provide details to how we would fix it. But as far soil erosion is something that concerns you.
Yeah, Ray's gonna have to take a look at it and see what we can do that.
Well, if Ray says pretty bad, then I'm sure it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Ranking. Yeah, so when that district conservationist or soil conservationist or whoever it is that comes from that office When they come out, they will essentially assess your operation. They'll talk about the resource concerns, and they'll talk about the benefit of individual practices, applied to said resource concerns. Within that, we'll be able to come up with a ranking score and say, hey, if we compare these applications, you and your neighbors, we'll be able to say, hey, one will have a greater impact than the other. So for example, if you both have livestock, you both have, cattle on your operation, but you're willing to exclude them from sensitive areas, such as water bodies and things along those lines, that may increase your score, against your neighbors if they're not willing to do the same.
Well, you kinda answered, I'm from the Mississippi area, I'm not from Tennessee, but I'm 40 minutes down the road. But for years, we were passed over because our ranking score was not tied with some of our neighbors. As a minority and as a disabled vet, we told them to give extra points in the ranking system as a minority and disabled vet. But we were passed over for years in a lot of equal programs because we weren't maximizing our ranking score. And a lot of times it was difficult to get information on how to increase our ranking score. So can you tell us maybe some tips on how to increase our ranking score? So we can use, other people's programs that other people didn't do that.
Sure, so of course, I'll need to get a little bit more information about your operation in particular. I know you said you had some forestry, and was it livestock?
We have forestry, livestock, and specialty.
Okay. So you have a variety, so let me just give you an example. Let's just say you were looking to do a high tunnel, and that was your application. Things that you can do that will take your application and give you additional points would be additional resource concerns met. So for example, if you're just doing a high tunnel and you're looking to extend your growing season, then your resource concern is gonna be, plant health and vigor. But if you were to say, hey, I wanna put gutters on this high tunnel, and I'm gonna do some water quality and water quantity savings, then that would be something that would increase the value of that application. As well, if you're willing to say, hey, I wanna put some cover crops, into this application as well, then, and I wanna put some radishes and turnips, something with a deep tuber that will break up some of that compaction, that's another resource concern that will be addressed at the application. You can take it a step further and say, hey, I'm actually willing to rotate my crops, so I wanna do conservation crop rotation. These are gonna be some things that you can do to add to that application and take that application from just a baseline application with just the primary practice that you want, but you'll be adding in some of those practices that can make that application a little bit more well-rounded. Explain a little bit more about the cost, incentive payment that will be attached to these practices. For the start of my career, we would always talk about percentages. I would say, hey, we'll pay 70% of this and 90% of that. Y'all, we can't keep up with the cost. It changes from day to day. And, we work with several vendors, and those vendors are aware of our program, and as soon as we change our costs, they change theirs. Alright, so now we don't talk in terms of percentages, we speak about directly the incentive payment. So we tell you what the incentive payment rate is gonna be before you even begin the contract, and at that point, it's your job to be able to shop that around and make sure this is gonna be feasible for you. So example, if we're paying $3.30 per square foot on a high tunnel, we wanna make sure that you know that dollar amount beforehand, so you can contact those vendors and say, hey, this is how much that I'm gonna, be receiving, and, you can kind of play with the numbers and make sure this is gonna actually work for your operation.
Let's start, and Derek, I'm looking at his question. Do y'all have technical service providers that assist with development of conservation plans, so it'll identify all of those practices you just discussed, and so that landowner will know? Do you have them, what they'll do, the 199, the forest management plans that will assist the NRCS because of the labor force that can help go do those conservation plans?
Yeah, so you always have the option to utilize the technical service providers or consultants, when working through these applications. From our agency perspective, we do wanna make sure that you know that we can service you, but there are times where a consultant or a technical service provider may be beneficial for your operation, so we don't wanna, we wanna make sure that you are aware of those options, and that, there can be benefits within that, but your local field office can definitely go through that, as well, but some of those technical service providers may be able to provide some of that information to you.
And Ms. Hubbard, maybe I've heard to say, it's been discussed that you can come and have a one-on-one with me. I'm retired from the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and I can help you understand some of those that may assist your ranking.
Oh,
All right, well.
I ain't trying to
we
let the
understand Johnson, I mean, that's
army
my cue.
fuck
I'll
with
give
me,
you
so I
one
gotta
more, we'll make it quick.
play smart.
I have an irrigation issue where it's not convenient for me to get water to certain, area of my